All right, how we doing, advanced art students? Um, what I want you to start thinking about as I kind of go through this video is how was your experience in eighth grade advanced art? Okay, now hopefully it was a good experience, but there's also some things that if they didn't go well, just remember that you can always learn from them and you can move forward, and we can correct those things so that you have a little bit of a better experience moving forward. Now, I just want to kind of mention that, you know, throughout your time in middle school art, so you had seventh grade art with Mr. Hoffman, you had eighth grade art, probably advanced art with me. A couple things to consider is that this is really just the tip of the iceberg. Things are actually going to be looking up in high school. When you get to high school, you're going to learn that you have so many opportunities to continue to pursue art. And really, what that starts with is it starts with the decision whether or not you would like to apply for JSA. So, if you don't know what JSA is, JSA is Jackson School of the Arts. It's an amazing art program. It's something that many districts and many schools do not offer. It's something that many schools and districts don't have the resources to actually pull it all together. And it's just a really, really awesome opportunity for students at Jackson to go through the program, to get that a little bit of an accelerated education based upon the arts. Okay. And so I would like to first off encourage everyone to apply. I think it's a great thing for students to get into. If you don't like it, you can always get out of it. But the biggest thing is, and I always tell kids this when it comes to high school, is you never want to look back and wish you had done something. I personally think it's always worth to just put yourself out there. Sure, sometimes it's nerve wracking, sometimes you're a little bit unsure, but I always think it's better to put yourself out there and to grab onto those opportunities because sometimes when you look back, you're going to wish that you had. Okay, so that's the first thing I would always recommend it. Now, a little bit about JSA, Jackson School of the Arts. When you think about art, I know a lot of times people think about drawing and painting and things like that, but there's really three different types of art. You have language arts, which is always on your schedule. You have performing arts, okay, which is like dancing, theater, but you also have like band and things like that. And then you have the third type of art, which is visual arts. Visual is a visually appealing artwork that is usually 2D or 3D and has to do with drawing, painting, sculpting, etc. That's the class that obviously you had with me, visual arts. Okay. If you're somebody that's really big into dance, JSA is an amazing program for you. If you're somebody that's really into literature and writing and things like that, JSA is an amazing program for you. If you're somebody that's into artwork, drawing, painting, things like that, JSA is obviously incredible for you. So I wanted to just kind of talk about that, where it does have the three different things, the three different types of art. Now, when you go into JSA, what it's gonna basically require you to do is there are your freshman year, there are a few different intro courses. So an introduction course is basically introducing you to the genre of art or the art medium or the different style of art. It's going to ask you to take a visual art. It's going to ask you to take your language arts, which you would take no matter what, but you would take JSA language arts. And then it's going to ask you to take JSA performing arts. Now, some of you, and this is probably the biggest thing that I have to kind of talk people out of, or just talk you around it, is that students are so freaked out by doing a performing arts. Okay. Me personally, I would have those same fears. I am a very intrinsic person. I do not really want to be on stage. I do not really want to talk to large groups of people. I know I'm a teacher, but kids and people in general are totally different. So, me personally, I wouldn't want to do that either. All right. Trust me, that's not something that I would want to do. However, when you look back on it, and I talk to kids that are sophomores, juniors, seniors all the time, and they come back to me and say, Mr. Petter, I was so scared of that performing arts class, but it ended up being one of my favorite classes on my schedule. So I'm super glad that I took it. Okay. I also have sophomores that joined JSA a year late, and they had wished they had that actually joined their freshman year. So we get all these different feedback. We get all this different feedback from students that basically reacted to this opportunity by either not applying or applying. Some are regretful, and some are very thankful that they had the opportunity. So, a couple things about those courses, the intro courses. The performing arts course, um, obviously at the high school, they understand that you may not want to be acting, or you may not want to be on stage, putting yourself out there in an expressive way. Okay. They understand that. They understand that a lot of people are doing JSA because um, they had a lot of success in visual arts in seventh and eighth grade. So when you sign up for that course, there's so many different options. They're not going to put you on stage. They're not going to put you under the spotlight. Um, there's going to be so many other kids in that class. It's almost like taking choir in middle school, where you don't have to have a solo. Okay, you don't even have to be in like a certain ensemble or anything like that. Um, but all you need to do is complete the course, and it's one of those things where if that's your thing, then that's amazing and that's great. But if it's not your thing, all you need to do is just get through it. And honestly, from almost every student that I've heard of, they actually end up thinking it's a super fun course. Um, the teacher that teaches it is an amazing teacher, makes everybody comfortable, and I just don't want people to get caught up on that because it's not even a big deal at all. So, but I did want to explain it so that if you are worried about it, you had a little bit of a better understanding of what that actually looks like. Okay. Now, language arts, I don't think I need to talk you through too much about language arts because honestly, you're going to take language arts regardless. Now, for visual arts, this is where, me being the eighth grade art teacher, visual arts teacher, this is where hopefully this kind of speaks to you a little bit more clearly than the other ones. So, for visual arts, there are a few different options. Number one, if you do not want to do JSA, okay, let's just say for whatever reason you decide you don't want to apply for JSA. What you would do is you're going to have a recommendation from me. Okay, what does that recommendation look like? Well, number one, I go through, and if you have an A in advanced art, you're going to have a few different opportunities. Okay, the opportunities are whether or not you're in JSA or if you're just in your standard course or your standard scheduling. So, excuse me. So the first thing is, are you in JSA or are you not in JSA? Okay. If you're in JSA, you will have the opportunity to take JSA Accelerated Freshman Art, okay, which is the number one top tier class as a freshman for drawing, painting, visual arts. Or you would take JSA Visual Arts 1, okay? So Visual Arts 1 is the basic, I don't want to say basic as like a negative, but it's the standard freshman art course. So if you're in JSA, you would take JSA Visual Arts 1. If you are recommended by me, so you received an A in advanced art and Mr. Petter also recommended you. Okay, an A doesn't necessarily mean that you can skip any class you want. Basically, if you receive an A, that's just my first little criteria in my head is, okay, who actually did well in advanced art, and then I go from there. So you could be recommended for accelerated visual arts in JSA, okay? If I don't recommend you, that doesn't necessarily mean I think you're bad at art or anything like that. I just personally, as I got to know you and as I saw your artwork and what you turned in, I personally I put you in the best position to succeed as a freshman, okay? Okay, we'll talk about ways around that at the end. Now, if you're not in JSA, then you have a few different options. You can either take JSA Visual Arts 1, which is freshman art. Okay, just look at it as freshman art. That's it. Sorry, did I say JSA? It's not JSA. If you are not in JSA, you can sign up for Visual Arts 1. That is freshman art. Okay? If you have my recommendation, okay, you got an A in advanced art plus my recommendation, then you would be able to take the next level course, which is drawing 1, painting 1. There's a bunch of other courses. What I personally always encourage you to do is take your drawing 1 class first, because drawing is just the basic foundation to almost any art class that you could take. Okay, so I always recommend doing drawing 1 first because that's just kind of the base foundation. All right, so let me kind of go back and walk you through that. If you're in JSA, you have two options. You can either take accelerated, which would need my recommendation, or you would take JSA Visual Arts 1. If you are not in JSA, then that's fine. You could take Visual Arts 1, which is freshman art, or with my recommendation, you could take Drawing 1 your first semester, and then you could take Drawing 2, or you could take Painting 1 your second semester. Don't worry about the semester thing just yet. I just want to explain how that first initial scheduling is going to look, which I believe they start talking about in February, somewhere around there. Okay, so hopefully that helps. Like I said, I would encourage everyone to look into JSA. I think it's an amazing program, especially the students that did well in art. I also understand that there's so many opportunities for you in high school, so I know that things can be overwhelming, but just give it a shot. Take a look at it. Feel free to ask me any questions, and I can show you some of the things that they're actually doing in JSA, which is really sweet. Okay, so hopefully that helps. If you have any more questions about like what art will look like as a freshman, and the other opportunities that you have, just don't be afraid to come and ask. Okay, all right, thank you.